I do not for a moment believe that Kamala Harris is going to pick Tim Walz as her vice president. I think she's going to pick Josh Shapiro. But if she didn't pick Shapiro, is there any other explanation besides anti Semitism?
Well, Hugh, I think that would certainly be part of the explanation. Regrettably, the Democratic Party has a large and growing anti-Semitic wing, and you've seen in the news over the last week the main criticisms of all of the potential selections are directed towards Josh Shapiro, and most of them are directed towards his occasional support for Israel, going back in some cases, I think, to when he was a teenager. Now, I don't think there's all that much difference between what Josh Shapiro and Mark Kelly and Tim Walz think about Israel, and they're in lockstep with the Biden-Harris failed policy of trying to pressure Israel while emboldening Iran and its proxy allies. So the only real explanation of the difference between him on the one hand and those other weak Democrats on the other hand is that he's Jewish.
I had Senator Vance on earlier this morning. I asked him the question. Let's play that exchange for Senator Cotton. My last question, Senator Vance. We expect a running mate to be announced by Vice President Harris today. If it's not Josh Shapiro, I will be stunned. But if it isn't Josh Shapiro, if they pick Tim Walz, who makes Tim Kaine seem like Justin Timberlake, he's really the most boring man in America. If it's not Josh Shapiro, and that's because he'll be Jewish and because he's a supporter of Israel, what does that tell you about the Democratic Party if it's not Josh Shapiro?
Well, look, if it's not Josh Shapiro, I agree with you. I think that they will have not picked Shapiro, frankly, out of anti-Semitism in their own caucus and in their own party. I think it's disgraceful the Democrats have gotten to this point where it's even an open conversation. And it is an open conversation, Hugh. I mean, even if it is Josh Shapiro, the guy has in some ways had to run away from a lot of his biography over the last few months because the far left doesn't like the fact that he is a Jewish American. So, look, we have to be honest about this fact. We have to call it out. But regardless of who the nominee is, Hugh, we're ready to take them on, and it's Kamala Harris's policies that matter the most. She is the person who
and that's the essence of it. Isn't it astonishing, Senator Cotton, that anti-Semitism is in a dominant position of the Democratic Party now?
It's unfortunately, it is astonishing, but it's been growing for some time. This has been going back years. The Democrats have been allowing this anti-Semitic element in their party to fester, and they've been looking the other way or sticking their head in the sand. They largely still argue. The House of Representatives, on a bipartisan basis, passed a bill that would enhance protections against anti-Semitism under federal law, and Chuck Schumer continues to refuse to bring it up in the Senate. I would just say, though, isn't it nice to have a man like J.D., who will be the vice president come January, able to think on his feet and answer a question like he did for, 20 minutes on your show?
Yeah, I asked him at least a dozen questions. He was not fazed by any of them, articulate, complete answers. It's like talking to you. It's like talking to other smart senators. I really cannot believe she has not answered a question. It's unprecedented, Senator Cotton.
Hugh, it's not just that she hasn't answered a single question in more than 2 weeks as the Democrats' nominee. She's only had one unscripted moment. That came Thursday night at Andrews Air Force Base, welcoming back hostages from Russia. You would think that would be the easiest setting for a politician to speak comfortably off the cuff. Yet she served up the kind of incomprehensible word salad for which she's become famous. I think what's happened is that the Obama High Command has launched a hostile takeover of the Harris-Biden campaign, and they have simply said, we're not going to let her have an unscripted moment, because we know only one of two things will happen. One, the kind of word salad you heard Thursday night, or two, as happened the last time she ran for president, she will reveal herself as a dangerous San Francisco liberal who wants to decriminalize illegal immigration and give health insurance to illegals while taking away your insurance on the job and confiscating your firearms. That's why we haven't heard of Kamala Harris, and I don't think she can hide out for 13 weeks, but the Democrats have been working overtime to hide her out for 2 weeks.
I don't think they can either. Senator, let's go to what happened yesterday. American troops were attacked and injured at Al-Assad Air Force Base. How should the United States respond to this attack by an Iranian proxy?
Well, first off, American troops were attacked because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have projected weakness and indecision to our enemies for 4 years. And they're doing it right now with Israel and Iran and its proxies again. If Iran and its counter proxies, to include militias in Iraq, think that they can kill Americans or kill Israelis, and that the only response is we'll use missile defenses to shoot the next round of missiles that come in, they're going to keep killing Americans. The way to stop this is to scare them straight and to have a ferocious response. This is exactly what we saw when Donald Trump was president. Remember, after Qasem Soleimani was killed in early 2020, Iran pulled in its horns. By the end of 2020, Iran was getting frisky again. And Donald Trump famously tweeted some health advice to the leaders of Iran, that if one American was wounded in Iraq, that he would hold the leaders in Iran personally responsible. And guess what? That attack didn't happen. But that's not what you get from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And if Kamala Harris gets into the White House, it'll be even worse and more dangerous of a hunting season for Americans and Israelis in the Middle East.
Senator Cotton, I can't even imagine her as president, but we have to deal with the fact that she is their nominee. I want to play for you a list of Kamala Harris vault greatest hits thus far that have come to light and get your reaction. Here she is talking about Bidenomics, cut number 9.
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
What do you think, Senator Cotton?
I think we're seeing the chickens come home to roost on Bidenomics with weak job numbers, declining consumer confidences, large layoffs as corporate profits decline, and now a widespread stock market sell-off. So Kamala Harris does not have a very good record to run on, and she's going to have to answer for Joe Biden's record because, as she said, and as he said, it's been the Biden-Harris administration from the very beginning. She's always the last person in the room for whatever terrible decision they're about to make.
Cut number 2 of the greatest hits of Kamala Harris. Cut number 10.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
Senator Cotton, you served in the Intel Committee with Senator Harris. Was she woke then?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, Hugh. I mentioned that to some other reporters and friends. You know, the Intelligence Committee meets a lot. It's not publicized often, but we probably meet more than any other committee in the Senate. It all happens behind closed doors, of course, and most politicians are a bit more of their true self behind closed doors when the cameras aren't rolling. Let's just say that if you think Kamala Harris is bad in her public pronouncements, you ain't seen nothing yet. And that's exactly what you saw from her on the campaign trail as well in 2020. Remember, this is a woman who wanted you to take some bail funds for rioters and looters and arsonists, who wanted to confiscate your private firearms, who wanted to decriminalize illegal immigration, who said that she stands with illegal aliens and she will fight to protect their rights, not the rights of Americans. This is a woman who even wanted to ban plastic straws used. So again, if you think Joe Biden has been bad for you and your family, the worst is yet to come if Kamala Harris is president.
Now we're going to talk about terrorists in the United States. Kamala Harris talking about the wall from when she was running for president in 2019, cut number 11.
This is irresponsible. It's the height of irresponsibility for the commander-in-chief to suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
Is it far from the truth, Senator?
Well, no, Hugh, as even Joe Biden admitted in his debate performance a few weeks ago, that he's not saying no terrorists have gotten in, just not as many as Donald Trump is accusing him. But look, the FBI has been arresting extremists associated with ISIS. I mean, we have dozens of people that we know are on the terror watch list across the country. And again, it just goes to show what a rank ideologue Kamala Harris is to say walls don't work. Of course walls work, Hugh. Walls and fences and barriers have worked since the beginning of time. It's like saying fire, the wheel doesn't work. I don't even know what to make of it. I mean, if she really thinks that physical barriers don't work, and I look forward to her taking down the fence around the Naval Observatory where she lives. Of course walls work. As you see today, a large barrier working on Israel's border with Palestinian-controlled territories, and it has worked for 20 years to stop the suicide bombing that we saw in the Second Intifada.
My last greatest hits from Kamala Harris, cut number 12.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation? Thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
Senator Cotton, how long can she talk without actually saying anything?
Hugh, if I can just borrow from President Trump in the debate, I have no idea what she was talking about, and I don't think she has any idea what she was talking about either. I mean, again, she can't string together two coherent thoughts at once. She couldn't even do it when welcoming home hostages. Again, you'd think the easiest thing for a politician to do. And when she talks about something about which she knows very little, just frankly, most things, and she doesn't understand how the economy works. She doesn't understand how foreign policy and the world works. You get that kind of incomprehensible word salad. Again, this is why people like David Plouffe and other members of the Obama High Command have launched this hostile takeover of the Harris-Biden campaign and are refusing to allow her to answer questions because that's the kind of answer you'll get.
Senator Cotton, it's unbelievable to me, but please keep coming back because we're going to need someone to interpret Vice President Harris for the rest of the world who has no idea what she's talking about, has been talking about, or is going to talk about if she ever talks about anything.